Guys, after a quick word from Menu RX.
I'll tell you, Menu RX is the only thing that can cheer me up right now because the sports teams are not cheering us up at the moment. But, Dr. Jake was in town last week. He was in Cleveland talking to some trainers. And he's working to get more people on the Menu RX program. If you're looking to lose weight, if you're someone who works out and wants to just get your body in better shape, if you want to just find out what foods fuel your body best, do the metabolic testing like I did from menurx.com. That's menu-rx.com. One-on-one personal counseling. You could probably use your in fact, I was talking with Dr. Jake about, how many insurance companies actually do cover Menu RX with their health insurance plan, and he told me most do. So this may cost you nothing. And if you sign up today at menu-rx.com, you get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, absolutely free. That's a $60 value for $0. So go to menu-rx.com. That's menu-rx.com. I mentioned that, it's not a great, the Browns are coming off a terrible season, guys. They had a miserable season last year. The Cavs had a great regular season and then left us sad and depressed after getting boat raced by the Pacers in the second round. The Guardians were, the last hope, I guess. And they're not playing particularly well. Now, they're only a game out of a playoff spot. But, for many years I said not only are the Browns bad, but they're also boring. And the Guardians oftentimes have been a fun team to watch, but they are not fun to watch right now.
Jose is.
Well, Jose is, and Stephen Kwan is, and a couple of the pitchers occasionally. But the lineup is littered with guys who just can't hit. And
did you see Naylor hit the grand slam walk-off?
I did see that.
Right.
That was a wild game.
Perfect timing, too.
The Diamondbacks were beating the Mariners 4-0 in the ninth.
Then they came
the Mariners scored 4 in the top of the ninth to tie it.
Yep.
And then Josh Naylor hit a walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the ninth, as Tyvis mentioned, to win it. And, that's just pouring salt in the wounds. Now, Bo Naylor hit a home run, too, his ninth. And you're like, 9 home runs. He's on pace for, 22, 23? He's got 19 RBIs.
My boy batting 196.
That's the whole Guardians thing for me. Like, when we get so many solo home runs, it makes no sense to me. Like, every time somebody hit a home run, it seems like it's just a solo.
Because
nobody's
they don't
on
have
base.
enough hitters. They don't have enough guys on base.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's
but
why we are in the
surprising.
situation. Yeah, it is. I know we went into this season and everybody said, we got rid of Naylor.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would be, this bad. Man.
I had a lot of hope in the young guys that I hear you and Jason talk about a lot.
We almost 500.
I kind of looked at it okay, Bull and Jason have been talking to me, Tyvis, Garrett, and everybody else about, all these young prospects that we got to get an opportunity to see what we have. And I thought that was the reason why the Guardians made the moves that they made this offseason. But I've been disappointed. Arias is not anything that he's projected to be. Bo Naylor is... I had a whole little bit set up for Bo Naylor and everything. If he was good, he not good. Kyle Manzardo, he had some flashes early in the season. He done cooled off, and it just seems like a lot of these young cats, man, they play discipline. They just don't know what the hell they doing, and then it's frustrating because you get these games to where you get the pitchers to pitch worth for them, and then they can't get no run support. And then when they do put up runs, the pitchers don't pitch worth for them.
Like last night.
And it was just it's just frustrating.
It is. We let the Reds win the Ohio Cup for those who care about such things.
Yeah, I had to hear about it in Columbus.
The Guardians just cannot develop hitters. Every hitting prospect they have flops. Everyone.
All of them.
When's the last
Manzardo was looking good, though.
Okay, man, I'm not ready to give up.
No, he's talking about came up through the system. When's the last guy? I feel like Manny Ramirez, and that was forever ago.
The last guy who was a top prospect that hit was Lindor.
I was about to say
but
Lindor.
That's a long time ago. Now, you can say, well, what about Jose and Kwan? Neither one of those guys were big prospects. They both came out of nowhere. Nobody knew who Jose Ramirez was who came to the big leagues. There were 82 Jose Ramirez's in the minor leagues. Nobody knew one from the other. And Stephen
He
Kwan,
messed up, man.
Greg Brinda was calling him Stephen Kwan Quan for the first 2 weeks he was in the big leagues. Those are the only two hitters that have been developed in the last decade, and they were nothing. You look at the laundry list just off the top of my head. Gabriel Arias right now looks like a bust. Bo Naylor looks like a bust. I still think Manzardo's going to be good. He's still having an okay season. I'm not ready to give up on him. Rocchio looks like a bust. Tyler Freeman looks like a bust. He's now in Colorado. Nolan Jones looks like 23 was a fluke. Bradley Zimmer, Clint Frazier. I could go on. Bobby Bradley.
So Jason pulled this up yesterday, but you weren't here, but I wanted to run this through you. He went to the 2020 prospect rankings for the Guardians.
I did the same thing. That's probably why he took it. He stole it from me. I did that on the Guardians show.
So maybe Jason did steal it from you.
The Guardians 2020 prospects.
Here's their top offensive prospects.
Yeah.
Nolan Jones,
who's done nothing besides 23.
I'm going to give you a name. You give me your 2 words on him.
Yeah.
So Nolan Jones.
Not good.
Tyler Freeman.
Even worse.
Bo Naylor.
PU.
Good. I'll go with that.
George Valera.
Nothing.
Brian
Real nothing.
Rocchio.
Brian Rocchio. No instincts.
Is he still up or is he at AAA?
AAA.
He's in AAA. Aaron Bracho.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him either.
Gabriel Rodriguez.
Never heard of him.
Daniel Jackson.
Daniel Jackson? Or
Who's on
Daniel
the
Johnson?
Daniel Johnson, sorry, Daniel Johnson.
He just got called
Who's on
up
the
to the
Giants?
majors by, I think, the Giants.
The Giants.
He's a bust.
Bobby Bradley.
He's playing in the Mexican League, I think.
Sheesh.
And Jose Tena.
He's a below-average player for the Washington Nationals.
And last but not least, Yu Chang, who's back in AAA for the Rays.
Is he? That's where he is? I didn't even remember.
So those were their top 10 offensive prospects.
Give me their top 10 offensive prospects in 2015. Can we do that real quick?
I can. Ready?
Yeah. I bet you Bradley Zimmer and Clint Frazier are on that list.
They are.
Go ahead.
Francisco Lindor,
Superstar.
Clint Frazier,
Terrible bust.
Bradley Zimmer,
Big scrub. PU. Yeah.
Gio Urshela.
Below average, serviceable major leaguer.
He was good when he left here.
He was good when he left here, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent defender. He's been in the big leagues a while. Like he's not a great player,
been
but he's
solid MLB
serviceable player.
Tyler Naquin,
A 0. He's pitching in the minor leagues.
James Ramsey,
Never heard of him.
Francisco Mejia.
Is that the catcher?
He was a catcher. Highly hyped. I think he's out of baseball.
Check me out.
I think nice job, Earl. Way to go. Yeah, we were talking about him a lot for a couple of years. They traded him to the Rays I can't remember who the trade was for. He's out of baseball.
I'm not making up these next 3 names. They're all legit. Mike Poppy,
Never heard of him.
Bobby Bradley,
Mexican League or Independent League.
Eric Gonzalez,
Out of baseball.
and last, Jesus Aguilar.
I was actually really like that guy.
He sounded like he played in a gangster film on Prime or something.
He actually, they cut him. He went to Milwaukee, had like one really nice year for Milwaukee, and now I think he's out of baseball.
What about Will Benson?
He's all right.
He's the dog against us.
He's all right.
For whatever reason.
I'm telling you, you looked at the top hitting prospects in 2015, then the top hitting prospects in 2020. Who is the best player on those two, besides Lindor? By the way, you know who wasn't on that 2015 list? Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
You know who wasn't on the 2020 list? I don't know if he was drafted. What year was Stephen Kwan drafted? Yeah, he had to have been drafted by 2020, right? I don't remember what year he was drafted.
I'm trying to find him on here.
The two best players since Lindor,
so this is
not even on the prospect list.
This is my question.
How do they all bust? All of them.
That is crazy. You need to repent. Anyway. If that's the case,
yeah.
Why have they not changed like the hitting coach or anything?
It's not just the hitting coach; it's the whole system.
Okay, so why haven't they changed the system? This is it's not like this is something we just talked about for the past 2 years. It's 10 years worth.
Yeah.
So why is it that we continue to roll with the same system?
I don't know. Maybe
years?
they've made some changes in the organization. I'm not sure.
That's called insanity.
But yeah, it's crazy. And now, so like Okay, Manzardo's been pretty good. We'll see with him. Is Chase DeLauder? We've been talking about him for years. We've been talking about George Valera for years.
Chase DeLauder,
now we're talking about Pizzana. I don't have faith in any of these guys. CJ Kafis. I'm going to, they got to prove they're good before. And by the way, we have half our fan base that's like, you can't trade Travis Pizzana. You can't. I will trade anybody. People were saying, you can't trade Chase DeLauder. The guy can't stay on the field. When he does, they don't call him up. So what's the point? I need them to get at bats for Columbus and Akron.
Hey.
Hey man, Chase like Santa.
Hold
He's not
on,
real.
hold
no,
on.
seriously.
Wait a
I done heard
minute.
about Chase so long and I ain't never seen him. I'm starting to believe this dude is
They
not
got the
real.
Clippers rocking right now.
Good. Who cares?
Who cares?
Nobody cares.
Y'all is out of line.
They got to trade them or play them. Think about all these guys. Think about in the last 5 years, there were trade rumors around Daniel Espino. Couldn't trade him. Guys had pitched in like 4 years. Couldn't trade Rocchio. Couldn't trade Arias. Couldn't trade DeLauder. Couldn't trade any of these freaking guys. Now it's Pizzano. Can't trade Pizzano. And maybe Pizzano's going to be really good. I don't know. But nobody's good until they're in the majors.
You would trade
prospects don't win championships.
You would
Great players
trade
do.
Travis Pizzano?
In the right deal, I'd trade anybody.
That's messed up.
Have you learned nothing?
Yes, Travis. Have you?
Cole has been consistent on that since the very first day this show started.
Since we've been working for UCSS, we still been waiting to see Chase DeLauder in the majors. Have we seen it?
I remember.
Like for real.
In 2016.
Y'all out of line,
in
bro.
2016, right?
Y'all ain't wrong.
The Guardians traded, the Indians at the time traded for Andrew Miller. It was a great trade,
Yeah,
right?
that's where they traded the catcher from. That's where the catcher was in that trade.
No, he wasn't in that trade.
Clint Frazier was in that trade.
I think though he was in a trade maybe with Tampa to get Brandon Guyer that year. Might have been. But in that trade, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, they traded Clint Frazier, Justice Sheffield. I don't remember the other guys. Who were the other guys?
I don't know, but those are two of their top 5 prospects. I'm looking at
those were 2 of their top 5 prospects. And at the time, you're like, oh, it's a lot to give up. It was 0. Those guys did nothing. Neither of those guys are both out of baseball.
Travis Pizzano was the #1 pick.
I don't care. I'm not saying give him away for nothing. I'm saying if I could get a really good player, I'm going to trade him.
Like who?
I remember when the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman, same as Andrew Miller. Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman. And I remember people saying to me, oh my God, the Cubs gave up great prospect. So the best guy they gave up was Gleyber Torres, who I liked, who I said the Guardians should sign this offseason.
You should be a baseball
But Gleyber Torres is a nice player. He's a good player. I'd give up Gleyber Torres 1,000 times out of 1,000 times to get Aroldis Chapman, even though he gave the home run to Rajai Davis. But the Cubs don't get to Game 7 of the World Series without Aroldis Chapman. Don't sit on prospects. We've learned this. They've passed up on so many trades because they've been scared to trade prospects. And now all of those guys across the board. Give me the 2020 prospect list again, Mike. Including the pitchers. Give me the top 10.
Before I do that real quick,
yeah,
and then we're going to move on because we're going to next.
So,
just to show you that prospect rankings do not always equal actual production.
Yeah.
In 2016, when they traded Clint Frazier for Andrew Miller,
yeah,
on the overall MLB top 100 prospect rankings, according to MLB.com, Clint Frazier was the 7th highest rated outfield prospect in all of baseball.
Never did a thing in the majors.
Aaron Judge was 8th.
Yeah. Clint Frazier was ahead of Aaron Judge. Give me the Guardians' top 10 prospects in 2020
funny.
again.
2020, Nolan Jones, Tyler Freeman, Bo Naylor, George Valera, Brian Rocchio, Aaron Bacho, Gabriel Rodriguez, Bobby Bradley, and Daniel Johnson.
Not a single guy on that list has trade value now.
Clase was the 15th rated prospect.
Not a single. Clase was 15th. You could trade him for something. Not a single. They didn't want to trade any of those guys.
Do you remember the Bobby Bradley hype train?
No,
I don't. I like Bobby Bradley. I thought
I remember when he came. He was wearing 24 and everything.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Have you woken up on the wrong side of the bed today? Why are you just smothering the Guardians? They watch the show.
Listen, I am a huge Guardian supporter. I root for the team. I watch them play almost every day. I have good respect for the front office. I don't think I've ever called
You want
them
to
to
trade
be fired.
Pizzana.
It's not that I want to trade him.
That's not what he said.
I
You're
would
twisting his
trade him in the
words.
right deal. You can't be afraid to trade prospects. That's like last year. Let's say in football that teams had rights to college players.
Okay.
And the Browns already had the rights to Mason Graham when he was playing at Michigan. That's like saying, I'm not trading Mason Graham for anything. Well, it's crazy. He's in college. You don't know if he can play in the NFL. If you could get a great player right now, Earl, if you can get a proven superstar player for Mason Graham right now, would you
He got to
do it?
go.
Exactly. That's what I'm. That's all
Just
I'm
like
saying.
back in the day, if you had the draft rights to Jeff Okuda,
you're lying.
and you talking about you ain't giving them up.
Y'all are lying.
Why?
Because y'all wouldn't be able to make the trade for the Browns because we're in cap. We have no cap.
You
room.
understand what I'm saying? If it was yes, there
So
may be
stop
cap
it.
reasons you can't.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. One last thing, Mike.
Shoot.
Give me more recently, please. Last thing. 2022 Guardians top 10 prospects. 2022, please. No, 23. I want to hit 23.
23. You
Yeah.
want all players or just hitters?
Is Nolan Jones on the 22 one or is he already gone? I can't remember now.
Nolan Jones is gone by 22.
All right, give me 22, please. Top 10, all positions.
Valera,
No value.
Espino,
That's not.
No value.
He lost.
Arias,
No value.
Rocchio,
No value.
Freeman,
No value.
Nolan Jones,
No value.
Gavin Williams,
He got
Good value. Number 7.
Logan Allen,
No value.
Jose Tena,
No value.
and Angel Martinez.
got
Okay,
value.
now think about that list. That was just 3 years ago. A top 10 prospect list who all those guys had good value at the time. You could have made significant upgrades to the team trading any of those guys, especially the top 6, 7, and 8. And now the only player on that list that has trade value is Gavin Williams. 1 out of 10.
Where?
And I'll tell you what, I'm not sure right now that he has more trade value than he did then. All of those other guys have 0 trade value. I saw an article on MLB.com saying 1 player every team could trade. And I don't know Tim Stebbins. It seems like he does a nice job. He's the new Guardians beat reporter for MLB.com. He said Carlos Santana. I'm like, are you kidding me? Carlos Santana has no trade value. You could trade. He also said, but Carlos Santana has value to the Guardians. He has 0 value to the Guardians, and you couldn't trade. No offense, Tim, you're doing a nice job, but Carlos Santana, you couldn't get anything. What are you going to get? Cash considerations? That's what you might get. You get a $50,000 for Carlos Santana. You can't trade any. The only player the Guardians might trade if they're out of it, that they could actually get something good for, is Class A. And if the Guardians are out of it, if they're sellers, which they rarely are, they should trade Class A 100%. Because think about right now, the best teams in baseball. The Dodgers could use another bullpen arm, believe it or not, with all the money they've spent.
The Yankees.
The Yankees need a closer. The Cubs need a closer. Not the Astros, not the Mets. But the Mets need a bullpener. They don't need a closer, but they need more bullpen help. The Padres are fine.
Every team needs bullpen help.
A lot of teams need Emmanuel Clase is going to be a closer, so you're not trading him unless you need a closer. But half the top contenders need closers. The Cubs have one of the best farm systems. They could give you 3-4 players. Then you get your prospects, more prospects to throw in the mix. But the Cubs actually might have some players that could play in the big leagues right away. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Tyvis, you got last point.
Last thought.
I want to
Right.
get to Nick Chubb stuff next.
Last thought is, if you did trade like one of our top prospects,
Yeah.
you'd be getting it for a proven veteran,
100%.
which they would have to pay, which they don't do.
Well, then they're never going to win.
Well.
I mean, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you got to spend some money. The Guardians' payroll
120, 110,
is
100,
$7 million higher than it was 24 years ago. $7 million. 24 years ago. You weren't even born, Tyvis.
Whoa, yes, I was.
You were still getting your diapers changed by your mom.
Can't he call Dan Gilbert, ask to borrow some money?
Dang,
What?
it's a recession.
Not for Dan. Not for Dan.
Billionaires don't have recessions. Only the rest of us.
I-
Jimmy got